not. Absolutely not.
What
None
did
of
you
that's
send
true.
him?
No, none of that's true. I don't think I sent him anything.
You never sent him anything?
No.
A few moments later.
I think there may have been a couple of emails exchanging, but that was it.
Are you challenging him to reveal this evidence?
No, I would challenge him to leave me alone. And we met 2 or 3 times.
How many times did you meet Richard
Maybe
Gere?
5, 6 times.
You know, when you stumble upon one of those true story shows in which you are watching a reenactment of real events, they are quite common, but it's not that common that the actor who portrays the main character is actually the main character in real life. He's essentially playing himself. And it's much less common when, in this case, we are talking about events that make Fatal Attraction pale in comparison, because the stalker, in this case, is anything but subtle. Baby Reindeer is a 7-episode show from Netflix that has taken the world by storm, precisely for that, being so close to the real story of a batshit crazy stalking case. Just in case you haven't watched it, it is wonderfully made, but it is not an easy watch. It does have topics that can be next level disturbing for many audiences. The good news is that you don't need to have watched Baby Reindeer to enjoy this video, because this video is not exactly about the show itself, so there are going to be 0 spoilers. This video is about the Piers Morgan interview of the woman who was uncovered by the internet to be the real-life stalker portrayed in the show. And you know how is the internet. You cannot tell them, hey, this is a true story. I am the actual guy who went through all this. But she? Oh, she's just an amazing actress who is going to portray my real-life stalker who sent me tens of thousands of emails, left me hundreds of voice messages, waited for days sitting in front of my house. So hers and all other identities of this story remain anonymous. Oh, sweet summer child. I have a couple words before we begin. Of all the train wreck interviews that I have ever seen, interviews whose intention was to fix a public relations matter, or to clear up someone's name, or to make the public think that you somehow can't sweat, this is the one that beats them all. And in the following minutes, you're going to learn how to spot inconsistencies, because her statement is so full of them. I usually do this analysis in chronological order from the beginning of the interview to the end, but this time I will make an exception, grabbing different parts and putting them next to each other so you can better see how she butchers her own statement several times. Fiona Harvey is her name, and she went to Piers Morgan to clear things up. Spoiler alert, it didn't go well. Let's start with the easiest questions first. Do you know this guy who's allegedly portraying you in this show? And how many times have you met him? And in the very first clip, we have our first body language clue.
And he called it Baby Reindeer. That's all I knew. And I thought, well, I've only met this guy 2 or 3 times. I don't know him.
Blinking is one of the easiest ways to detect an emotional response, and I will leave you a video that explains it in detail in the description. In this case, you see some fluttering or rapid blinking right after she says, I've only met this guy 2 or 3 times, I don't know him. That fast blinking could be nervousness, but at the same time, it could be part of her baseline or body language expression. So we need to see a couple more clips to have a better idea of which one of the two is it. And the following clip gives us a clue about that.
Hiding the fact that they were actually not using, they were pretending it was from an iPhone.
I don't really understand that.
She's not blinking as fast, but you see that when Piers Morgan is just adding some commentary, her eyelids close faster and then they stop. So now we know that's something she doesn't do all the time. But then Piers asks a direct question. So you are 100% that it's not you, the woman depicted in the show. Take a look at her mouth.
And you're 100% sure it's not you?
Yeah, absolutely.
This time she doesn't have the rapid blinking, but she presses her lips right after saying that yes, she's sure that she's not the woman depicted on the show. Pressing the lips is another emotional marker that can signal frustration, being upset, nervous, or other moderate to strong emotions. So far, it could be normal nervousness because of the circumstances. The next clip helps us have a concrete idea of how does she look when she's telling the truth. And how do we know she's telling the truth? Well, just watch.
Did you have a baby reindeer?
I had
toy?
a toy reindeer.
So that's true.
And he'd shaved his head. That bit is true. And there were reindeers in the shops. It was Christmas time or something. It was a joke.
This is one of the first soft gotcha moments. The show's name, Baby Reindeer. This is one of the first soft gotcha moments. The show's name, Baby Reindeer, is named after a plush toy, a baby reindeer that the stocking lady had as a girl. And Fiona is accepting that, what a coincidence, she also had a reindeer as a girl. And when she answers that question, there is no rapid blinking or lip pressing or anything. But she just said that she had a baby reindeer, right? Well, we are already warmed up, so we can start tackling topic by topic. And the following section is the best example of why I had to make this analysis, getting pieces from every part of the interview. Piers asked more than once about her relationship with Richard Gadd. And that was the first clip we saw, remember?
And I thought, well, I've only met this guy 2 or 3 times. I don't know him.
She gave that answer in the first 5 minutes of the 1-hour interview. Then, less than 4 minutes later, she said this.
And we met 2 or 3 times. Those are the only...
So far, so good, right? 2 statements that match each other. She's implying that she barely knows the guy, right? 2 or 3 times is like a dismissive amount of times, right? But then Piers asks a question about Twitter. How many times you tweeted him? And with her answer, the contradictions started.
Did you tweet him?
I may have done years and years ago.
You actually tweeted him numerous times.
No, it wasn't numerous. It was about 18 tweets there or 14
It's quite a
tweets.
lot to someone who's not that well known.
But we were all friends. You know, it was banter.
We were all friends is a way to disguise the fact that, yes, she mentioned Richard on Twitter quite a few times, but it's no big deal because we were all friends. Who is we all? Nobody knows, but she speaks in we all terms, so it doesn't seem that the interaction was between her and Richard and nobody else. Although, in said tweets, Richard was the only one tagged. I have to say that Piers was pretty clever and let enough time run before asking the question again. So 30 minutes later, he asks another direct question. Was Richard Gadd her friend?
Was he ever your friend, Richard Gadd?
No. Staff asked me that as well. No, I don't think so.
Now, Richard is no longer her friend. You see how this works? You simply give them enough time and at some point of the conversation, ask the question again. And near the end of the interview, Piers asked again, how many times did you meet with Richard Gadd?
And
How many times did you meet Richard Gadd?
don't know,
What would you guess?
5, 6, maybe 5, 6 times.
That's it.
Yeah,
In your life.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes, near the beginning of the interview, she said not once but twice that she had met 2 or 3 times with Richard Gadd. Now, near the end, she raised that number to 5 or 6. Now, things are just going downhill from here, so trigger warning that you're about to witness peak cringe levels. And let's put it this way. Let's imagine for a moment that you're living your normal life, you're not messing with anyone, and one day, all of a sudden, it is brought to your attention that the internet wants your head because you must be the anonymous character in a Netflix series that is trending worldwide. What do you think will be your first reaction? Exactly! Watch the show to see if it's actually based on your life. It's the least you can do before going on Piers Morgan's show to set the record straight in front of millions. But what do you think she answered when Piers asked her if she had seen the show?
Have you watched the drama?
Not at all. I've heard about the court scene, about the jail sentences and all this sort of stuff.
But you really haven't watched any of it?
I haven't watched any of it.
You're not curious to?
No, I think I'd be sick.
Insane, I know. And you will be baffled of how many times in her following answers she gives details about this 7-episode series. Did someone just narrate this to her? I mean, it's only logical if she's got an attorney and you're going to appear in front of millions, you must watch the show beforehand. Well, unless your attorney dresses like this. In that case, you're going to jail. Period. But let's talk about body language again. Because in the following clip, you need to focus on her eyes. So watch.
And your position is that it's just not factual.
It's a work of fiction, it's a work of hyperbole, as I've always said. And there are two true facts in that. His name is Richard Gadd, and he worked as a jobbing barman.
We previously saw a couple of emotional markers such as rapid blinking and pressing the lips. But now we see that her eyes are shooting all over the place. And this could happen if the person is trying to recreate a complex situation in her mind. That's why we need to refer to what she said. Was it too complicated? She was just saying that the show was a work of fiction, a hyperbole. How hard it is to say that if it's the truth? It's very simple. It wouldn't require much brain power or recreate any images in your mind. In fact, those words, it's a work of fiction, it's your core argument. So the fact that she displays emotional markers when making such a basic statement is another red flag. That is the kind of moments that you should keep in mind to repeat the question or add a similar question later in the conversation. And this is the first thing that I thought when I was doing the research about this case. Okay, I'm sure that Piers wanted to have this exclusive, but wouldn't it be more appropriate if you were full-on scorched earth planning to sue Richard Gadd and Netflix for defamation? Wouldn't you challenge him publicly to reveal all the evidence he claims? Well, brace yourself for her answer to these common sense matters.
Are you challenging him to reveal this evidence?
No, I would challenge him to leave me alone.
Because you're calling him a liar and you're calling Netflix accomplice to
I didn't
these
use
lies.
those words. I said the story, the play, the Netflix show is not true.
Yeah, she's not interested that Richard Gadd reveals all the damning evidence that makes her look worse than Kathy Bates in Misery. She just wants to be left alone. But hasn't she figured out that if she reveals the evidence and it's confirmed that it's not her, that will be the fastest way for everyone to leave her alone? But it seems that she doesn't have that level of common sense, since she affirms that she never called Richard Gadd a liar, only that the Netflix show is not true. I mean, my head hurts. I don't know how those two statements can coexist in the same universe, but let's say for a minute that she's still confused by the bright studio lights. Very confused. So it would be helpful if we ask more questions. So, yes, let's review that SpongeBob SquarePants meme I included at the start of this video.
No, it's absolutely not.
What did you send him?
No, none of that's true. I don't think I sent him anything.
You never sent him anything?
No.
A few moments later.
I think there may have been a couple of emails exchanging, but that was it. Just jokey banter emails.
I'm starting to think that this woman has the worst attorney in the world, or she's got no attorney at all, which would be crazy in itself. But it's obvious that she's got a lax definition of anything. Now, at times her body language and voice tone seems okay, even if she displays lip pressing again, such as the following clip.
So you're denying sending anything to him?
There may have been a couple of emails.
Text messages?
No.
Facebook messages?
No.
But no more rapid blinking. That's interesting. That is further confirmation that the rapid blinking only happens in some moments and not in others, which is usually tied to being nervous or upset. And even more strange is how her next answer contains such concerning facts, and she speaks like she was asking for a coffee. Oh, and also make sure to notice the time she takes to respond.
First of all, why have you decided to go public?
The internet sleuths tracked me down and hounded me and gave me death threats, so it wasn't really a choice.
In fact, what you just saw was the very first question of the interview, so that was her very first answer. It's obvious that she had practiced this answer. That's why the time to respond was instant. She was almost expecting that question, and there were exactly 0 emotional markers. That's another tip when you're trying to disguise an interrogation as a conversation. When you're doing the discovery questions, pay attention to the time they take to answer. If they answer immediately without thinking, it's possible that they had practiced their reply beforehand. Conversely, if you know that you're going to be asked a question and you don't want to sound too obvious, take your time to answer, like thinking about your words. That will make you sound more natural. But there is nothing natural in what you're about to witness. It's a body language dissonance, so obvious that we'll almost jump out of the screen. Make sure you pay attention to her head movement.
So as far as you were concerned, he never turned up at your place.
Correct.
But the Netflix show has him doing that.
Yes, I believe so. I've been told that.
But that categorically didn't happen.
That categorically didn't happen.
Yeah, one thing is saying, I believe so, and you nod with your head because you're affirming something. So it makes sense that your head goes up and down, as in yes. But then she says that one of the scenes in the show categorically did not happen. And she nods again as an affirmation. She's denying with her words, but nodding with her head. Not a good look. Another red flag. But let's see if you can spot the following red flag when she's asked if she could take a lie detector test.
If it came to it, would you take a lie detector test?
Yeah. Possibly, yeah. I would need to consult other lawyers about that.
If we set one up, you would do it.
A lie detector test for what? You know,
Well, no, the police, as you know, the police use them.
In here, there is another subtle dissonance because she says yes, but then denies with her head. The opposite that happened before. But if you have been watching my channel for some time, you might already know that swinging your head from side to side can also be used for affirmative emphasis, especially in Western countries. So I will give her a pass with this one. What actually concerns me is what she said at the end of that clip. Let's rewatch it.
A lie detector test for what? You know,
Well, no, the police, as you know, the police use them. They're just an indication.
They use them for mass murder and things like that.
That is a classic deflection. If you have nothing to hide, nothing to worry about, why would you care if the police uses them for more severe crimes? With that question, a lie detector for what? She's trying to take the attention away from herself. And it's funny that she mentions examples of more severe claims because it sounds like a slip of the mind in which she wanted you to shrug off stalking as not as severe. But no, wait, that's exactly what she did. She was implying that stalking was, after all, not as severe as mass murder. So now in the show, the latest stalker is sent to prison. She's actually sentenced to a number of months. And this is important. Before I go further into this, let's watch the clip of that question to see what can you get from her body language.
So did you go to jail? Did you have a
No,
trial?
of course not. Of course not.
Have you ever been to prison?
No.
Have you ever been charged with a
Nowhere
criminal
near
offence?
it. No.
Never?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
So that scene is completely invented.
That's completely false. And
My first impression when I saw this part is that compared to what we had seen in the previous clips, this is one of her most spontaneous and natural answers. And in fact, that's in my first annotations. This answer seems genuine. And the reason that it's genuine is because she might be telling the truth after all. Turns out that the sentencing and prison time sequence in the show was just a fictional fabrication for reasons. I don't know, storytelling liberties. Richard Gadd himself told the Times that he has no idea if his stalker ever went to prison. But didn't Netflix sell this story as a real-life story? And this is why I told you this case was especially complex, because it's not really black and white. When you think about it, you cannot make a show that is a play-by-play reenactment of real-life events and at the same time modify it in a way that it protects the identity of all the real people involved. You simply cannot have your cake and eat it too. You either have a real-life story, play-by-play, or you protect the identities of the characters at the expense of true events fidelity. Now, I guess they never expected that the internet was going to find the real-life lady that inspired this series. So now millions of people think that she was actually in jail when you saw her response and Gad's statements in the time. It never happened. So now we need to rely even more in our body language abilities to make sense of the following questions, such as the next one, which is important for reasons that you will find out later in this video. Very important. Pay attention to her head movement and her voice tone.
Did you ever turn up at his house?
No, I don't know. I don't know where he lived. No, absolutely not.
So
She lowered her voice tone, which usually means that the person is not that confident of what they are saying. And at the same time, again, she made that affirmation movement when claiming that she didn't know where he lived. That's suspicious. And she said the words, "I don't know where he lived." Remember that. Compare with her body language in the next question and you will get a nice surprise at the end.
did you ever contact Richard Gadd's parents and threaten them?
No, that allegation was put to me by journalists. No,
Never happened.
no.
So she looked really genuine again. Only that she got that subtle lip pressing at the end. And she absolutely was going to say something else. Well, that is anyone's guess. By this point, we have studied both her body language and her statements. The following section is much more subtle, but it's critical to assess what's going on here. And in many ways, will seal the deal about the truth. Don't worry if you don't catch anything relevant when you see the clip, because I needed 2 or 3 of them to spot the pattern. Here comes the first one.
Because you're calling him a liar and you're calling Netflix accomplice to
I didn't
these
use
lies.
those words. I said the story, the play, the Netflix show is not true.
No, but if they say that you sent 41,000 emails,
Well, they
350
are
voice
completely
messages.
wrong.
Again, some body language inconsistencies and a bit of word salad, right? In all cases, the critical words are, "The Netflix show is not true." Keep that in mind. Now watch the following clip and let's see if you notice a pattern in what she claims.
but if he has 350 voice messages and it's you,
It doesn't mean the drama is true.
but is it possible he's got 350 voice
I
messages?
doubt that very much. I just don't think so.
You doubt it?
Yeah, I doubt it. I mean, unless
Wouldn't you be?
I doubt that he's got 350 messages. I doubt that very much. Have you spotted the pattern yet? If not, don't worry. There's a third clip that drives the point home.
But if he does
etc.
have 350 voice messages,
I know that he doesn't.
and it's your voice,
He doesn't.
and everyone can now hear your voice.
Unless he was taping me in the holy arms.
I mean, how can she be so sure that Richard Gadd doesn't have 350 voice messages? And speaking of which, if she's not friends with him and only met him 2 or 3 times, why would she care? The pattern that I was asking you to spot is that she's way more invested into claiming that the Netflix show is not true than trying to clear her own name out of it. Think about that. If you're being mistaken for another person in a Netflix show, you don't really care if the protagonist received thousands of emails and hundreds of voice messages. You only want people to know that it wasn't you. The fact that it is true or fake, that's none of your business. Maybe there's a crazy stalker out there. It's not your job to deny categorically that Richard Gadd did not receive those voice messages, because you cannot possibly know. So instead of saying that the Netflix show is not true, or "I don't think he's got some messages," you say, "I have no idea who sent those emails and voice messages to Richard Gadd. I don't care either. The only thing I want people to know is that it wasn't me." And if you want further proof of this, she does this a 4th time, and pay attention to her voice tone.
I mean, he's got them.
He's not got 41,000 emails. That's over a year.
Well, according to you,
How
there's
long
only-
would
there's
that
only a
take?
handful,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, how long would that take someone to type up?
How many do you
41?
think you sent him?
It was hard to listen to, but she said, "He's not got 41,000 emails." Why would you care? Unless you're trying to downplay the amount of emails, because maybe you did send him a ton of emails. And when it comes to downplay the crazy amount of emails in Richard Gadd's inbox, well, nobody does that better than her.
To you, would that mean someone's stalking someone?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it could be it could be your wife. It could be you're maybe sending emails every day about the kids or something like that. I don't know. That doesn't necessarily mean they're stalking somebody. They could be great friends. They could have been friends for 50 years or something.
You realize the level of train wreck that this interview was. That whatever intention this woman had of clearing up her name makes it worse with each question. This is one of those crazy body language analysis in which you have it all. Body language, statement analysis, and the person analyzed has lost every grasp on reality and common sense, and their mouth have become their own worst enemy. What can I say? This is amusing to watch. But wait, there's a couple more slips of the tongue that we need to review before the grand finale.
How long did you know him for, Richard Gere?
2-3 months. 2-3 months at maximum. He only worked there on certain days.
And did you always go on the days he worked there?
No, I've been in there on different days having food.
Yeah, she said that. He only worked there on certain days. Well, that's interesting. Was she paying attention to his schedule for some reason? But let's see how is your memory working if you spot the inconsistency in the following clip.
Did you write him letters?
Public, no. I think when I saw the interview, that's actually incorrect. What I said there, when I saw that in the Guardian, I said, "What a shame! It's not your fault." Something
You
like
did
that.
write to him.
One later.
So,
Tell me you got it. I told you a while ago to remember this.
did you ever turn up at his house?
No, I don't know. I don't know where he lived. No, absolutely not.
So,
How could you send him a letter if you didn't know where he lived? I am not that fond of kicking a dead horse, and I was about to call it quits, but somehow the fact that she used to have 6 different emails and 4 different phones is worth mentioning. But first, she says this.
what do you have? What technology do you use?
Right, what technology do I use? A very, very old smartphone just now because the other one packed up a week before moving. That's it.
Then she mentions the 4 phones like it's no big deal.
Or was it 4 or 6?
I can't remember. Probably 6.
How many do you use today?
I had 4 phones. I've got 1 today, but I only email select friends.
And you have 4 phones?
Yeah, 2 broke. They were very, very old.
And if you thought up to this point that this could not be worse, well, she's got a brutal slip of the tongue in the following clip because it's not like I'm a maniac or a stalker.
1 was brand new and broke, and it's still to be returned to the shop. I like keeping people on separate phones as well. And maybe that makes me a maniac or a stalker or something. But if you've got somebody on about your electricity bill or somebody on about some work or something, it's nice to keep it separate,
I could be here all day, especially when Piers kept asking questions to absolutely destroy her credibility and claims.
How did you do at school?
I've got a photographic memory. I was top of the school, apart from the science.
You know how photographic memory works, right? You can remember almost anything years down the line just by taking a look at anything. Well, I think she is using that word, and I don't think it means what she thinks it means.
There's a reason you say you got a photographic memory, but
Yeah.
what grade did you get?
All right grades. I mean, not top of the year or anything.
No,
but all right
you get
grades.
when you do a degree, you get a.
Yeah, you're asking me what marks I got for 13 subjects. I can't remember.
Oh, and of course, I forgot to mention that there's a long, long list of claims on this lady that date back some years, and the Daily Mail reporter who interviewed her before becoming public is being stalked as well. I think Piers should take notice, though.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 58. I'm a year younger than you. And I think Jessica, the actress, is about 40, 38, 40. But you'll know yourself, if you're charged with a criminal offence, it will go fine.
This topic is currently exploding, so I'm sure this is not the last time we will be reviewing this case. In the meantime, thanks for hitting the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of my body language analysis and tips. And I would love to know what you think about this in the comments. Don't forget to download my free 100 body language tips in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. And remember, much love and bliss.